Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Amaan,
It's Reyhan.
and welcome to the Rajpod. Today we're going to be switching it up a little bit. We got a little extra information we're going to share.
Yeah.
But first, we want to start with.
So thank you to Mackenzie for making a wonderful intro.
That was great.
Yeah,
was
really
really
liked it.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's actually start talking about some other stuff.
Okay.
We're talking about basketball and football now.
Okay.
So you can see by the Bears in the back that we're spreading our
We're switching
wings.
it up
Yeah.
to two leagues now. So follow the Rajpod Instagram and Twitter.
Yep.
And check out the Discord, and then you got the league info.
Yeah. So basically, that will be shared on a separate video later on and sent to the individual because it's going to be a lot, and there's going to be a lot of changes coming soon because it's going to be starting pretty soon around summertime.
Okay.
So let's get on with the basketball.
Let's get into it.
It's been a lot of interesting stuff going on.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
Let's start with the Bulls.
Okay.
Hometown Bulls.
Yeah.
A couple close games we've had recently, actually. Fun to watch. A lot more fun to watch than last year with Billy Donovan at the coach.
Yeah.
He's been balling out.
Exactly. We have Zach LaVine scoring like 30 points a game, it feels like, and he's doing everything for this team. He's the reason we're like competitive. We lost by about 2 to the Lakers, lost to about by 3 to the Clippers,
and 4 to the Kings.
Yeah.
It's all been close games, which is what you want to see from a young Bulls team. You got a lot of time to develop. These guys are all looking. You got bright futures from Kobe White, from Patrick Williams. Wendell Carter Jr. also is looking better as the games come on. Zach LaVine obviously is balling out, but this team is looking good towards the long run, and they're learning how to close these games out as we've seen.
Yeah.
So this just the teaching that they're getting and just training wise, it's looking bright.
Yeah, and after that Thunder game, they spent that whole practice just analyzing that last 4 minutes, and that's something Jim Boylan would not have done.
Yep.
He would have had them doing push-ups or something.
Yeah, some conditioning.
It's just you can see the level of like intellect Billy Donovan can just give out.
It's just really there's awesome. Some people who are good at, really good at being a head coach and able to manage men. That's what you do as a coach, right?
Yeah.
And this guy really is able to do that well, right?
Yeah.
With these guys who are they pay attention to him, they learn from him. You'll see the differences in the huddle, right?
Yeah.
Even last year, you wouldn't see these guys come up to him and or come up to Boylan and really pay attention, but you really see them feed off of what Billy Donovan is teaching them.
They're ready to win now because
Yep.
they've been sick of losing.
Yep. I'm ready to win now too.
I know. I'm excited.
Can't keep doing the losing.
Yeah. We've got a lot of COVID cases and injuries going on, and it's been really hindering the season. And we just wanted to mention that suspension of the season might be a possibility.
Yeah, it might be in play.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think it'll go through. I think they're just going to play out the season, add some games to the end of because they only released half the schedule to begin with.
Yeah.
So I think they'll add whatever games that we missed onto that. And right now it's just because the holidays happen, a lot of travel between even Thanksgiving, Christmas, and the
Kyrie.
Holidays, and the Kyrie situation. But a lot of travel going on right now. So January was projected to be the worst month. Adam Silver knew it was going to be bad. So the projections are kind of accurate, sadly. But I think after this month, we should be looking pretty clean heading forward and having less and less cases.
Hopefully. Because after the 16th game postponed, it's like you kind of just want to play basketball.
Yeah.
And if they have to take like a 2-3 week suspension, I would see that being a possibility and then just going after.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's not the case because you have those normal injuries on top of the COVID cases. Yeah. It's just a mess right now.
Yeah.
But it'll be good soon.
Hopefully within the next couple of weeks, it should be all figured out.
Yeah.
Next up, we got a huge trade going down. We got James Harden, who we'll put right here, heading to the Nets.
Yeah.
This is a huge trade, shaked up the league, 4 different teams. We have Victor Oladipo, Kirkus, Dante Exum, and 4 unprotected first-round picks, as well as 4 unprotected
picks. That's 8 picks.
Plus. Yeah, so 8 picks, you're losing, kind of gave away your future,
That's the Nets specialty.
Yep, that's true. But it's going to Houston, and then we got James Harden obviously going to Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And we have Karis LeVert, who we'll talk about soon, and a second-round pick going to the Indiana Pacers, which is good for them. And the Cavaliers, I don't know what they're doing, but they got Jared Allen and Taurean Prince.
Just stack up on the young assets, right?
That's true. Yep, that is true.
But the problem with Karis LeVert, the reason that Pacers got that second-round pick is because Karis LeVert had a mass in his kidney, and thank God for that trade because he would not have found that out otherwise on that physical.
So it really did help him out in the long run, and we're praying obviously for the best for Karis LeVert and his family and all that. I hope he gets better soon, but if he's able to play at any level, really, if he's able to get back in there, he'll be a great piece to that young core, and he matches up better on a timeline with these young guys that they have, Miles Turner, Domantas Sabonis. Miles Turner obviously playing at a Defensive Player of the Year caliber, averaging 4.2 blocks a game,
which is just
nuts.
Yeah,
and Sabonis playing amazing too. It's really good basketball you're watching if you watch them. But Karis LeVert definitely will add to that, and it'll be a good piece there.
Yeah.
Victor Oladipo did look good for Houston the other night against the Bulls. He had 32 points, 9 assists. He looked very good.
Yes.
So I think they win that trade in that fashion, and obviously James Harden going to the Nets. I mean, we'll see in time how he meshes with Kyrie.
I mean, the Rockets were kind of sick of him at this point, so getting 8 first-rounders for him is really
nice.
nice.
If you have a 30-plus-year-old superstar and you're getting
Yeah.
What, like 8 picks? Your future's kind of like your next 7 years, right?
Exactly. Even if they're not crazy good, you can still get some hits on
exactly.
those.
And those picks can always be swapped for other players, other moving up in the draft. So just picks in general are assets, right?
Yeah.
So in that matter, like you're getting a lot out of somebody who doesn't even want to be on your team.
Exactly. And the Rockets were really patient with trading him because normally, like, you'll see the Knicks panic with Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah.
So them being able to wait and hold on to James Harden until the right trade comes, even though they're dealing with like his horrible antics
and chemistry wise.
Yeah. But they waited and they got a reward for it, a good team and a future.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting, and you'll see how long the Nets are good for. Obviously, these guys are all older. So again, those last 4 picks, you never know where they could be, right?
Exactly.
So it'll be interesting to see. But the Nets definitely will compete from here on out.
Yeah, even without Kyrie.
Yeah, even without Kyrie, they were great. Kyrie played tonight. Actually, we'll check on that later.
Yeah, they did lose.
They did lose. Yeah,
Colin Sexton balled out.
Yeah, but anyway, so Harden. 2 30-point games. They beat the Bucks without Kyrie, obviously, and then they beat the Magic, which isn't as tough as an opponent,
especially
anymore.
without Fultz.
Yep, which we'll get into actually. But so definitely the Nets look good. I think all teams really won this trade in some sort of fashion.
Yeah.
Getting into Markelle Fultz though, the Magic are not looking good with Markelle Fultz off the court.
Markelle Fultz was averaging like 22 and 7. He was like that cornerstone that they had, and once he got injured, they did not score over 100 until they played the Nets. And it sucks to see because the Magic were a top team in the league. I know it's only 4 games in, but still, like, you saw them having success against some pretty decent teams too.
And you don't see the Magic having success against a top 4 seed team. You know what I mean? Like that's not something you're used to. But they were looking for a point guard. That's why they took KarlAnthony in the draft. But obviously they extended Markelle Fultz, took a flyer on him, and it seemed to pan out. But with this injury and just other injuries that he's had. We'll see how long this lasts in Orlando.
Yeah. Hopefully he finds a place somewhere else if they do trade him or something.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Next, let's get into Nikola Jokic balling out this year, obviously. The Nuggets are not, though.
Yeah.
So, Jokic is averaging 25, 11, and 10. So he's literally averaging a triple-double.
Yeah, which is just ridiculous for a center. Yeah.
Absolutely nuts. But Nuggets are 7-7 and 9th in the West currently. So... Like what do you got?
They can't defend. They really can't defend at all. Losing Mason Plumlee, Paul Millsap getting pretty old, Jeremy Grant, big impacts on
He's averaging 25 in Detroit now.
Yeah, so. I mean it's Detroit. What do you expect? But still, that's really good.
No, that's good for a guy coming off like a role player role, right?
Exactly.
But anyway, getting back to the Nuggets, like this team. So you're saying they can't defend? Right?
They cannot defend. Yeah, no. You can tell Jamal Murray's been very inconsistent this season too. We thought he was going to take a step up in the bubble, but he just hasn't been like that.
Well, if you go down their roster, even right, you look at Jamal Murray. I mean, not a great defender, right? Yeah. Then you go down, you got Gary Harris there, Will Barton. Neither are supreme defenders. Neither have been playing crazy well either. Yeah. Then you have Michael Porter Jr., who is definitely a subpar defender, even with his athletic and lengthiness.
But he's injured too.
He's injured, yeah. So he was having a good season, but just defensively, you can't do that at a 4. And then Nikola Jokic is obviously not guarding anybody, so that's not like something you would expect. Yeah. But just defensively, you're gonna need stoppers and 3-and-D wings that you're gonna have to bring in because these guys, Gary Harris, Will Barton, these guys were supposed to be 3-and-D wings, and they're just not performing at that level right now.
Yeah, exactly. Will Barton has not been consistent while Michael Porter Jr.'s been out, and that loss to Michael Porter Jr. has been very detrimental because I mean they weren't good with him, but they surely hasn't been good without him either.
Exactly.
But let's actually talk about Kyrie. Okay. Kyrie's been a very big topic going in to Nets getting James Harden because he just hasn't showed up. But he's back now and he played pretty well. But the problem with that, he got fined $50K, and then on top of that, because he missed some games, he lost $800K,
which is absolutely ridiculous. Like, I don't know even how to fathom that much money right now. Like, you know what I mean? Obviously, it's not chump change for him, but it's definitely, I guess, whatever he was going through was worth it. Obviously, he said in his press conference, there's a lot of people that there's a lot of things that people are assuming about. Yeah. Not everybody knows the full story. Obviously, we've seen him in a Zoom call for social justice, which no one's bashing him for, right?
Yeah.
And then we've also seen him at a family party, right?
Which you shouldn't be at.
Which you shouldn't. I mean, like it's hard because as an NBA like official or not an official but like Adam Silver, what you can't tell somebody not to be with their family in some regard.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's a hard, sticky situation, especially with this whole COVID thing.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll blow by soon. But definitely like I don't know, he's going through something, so we'll just leave it and see what happens. And hopefully,
because Stephen A. Smith said this really well. He's doing really good for social justice and stuff, and he's trying to like be like a good person, but he's thinking that he can't walk while chewing gum, so he thinks that he can't do all this social justice stuff and play basketball at the same time. He can do it at the same time. You see players doing this at the same time, even NFL players who are very busy too. You see them doing this at the same time, so you can do that. You can prioritize what you were paid to do first, and then also have that social justice thing in there. You don't have to choose one or the other.
And obviously your social justice is definitely more important, right?
Yeah.
But you're given a multi-million-dollar contract, more than multi-million. It's crazy how much money he's given. But you're given such a big contract to do this job.
Yeah.
And perform for the people. So not only are you making money, but if whatever you want to do with that money, right? So that $800,000 that you lost, the $50,000 that you find, obviously the NBPA, the Players Association, they'll put it somewhere. That's what they do with fines. But the $800,000 that you lost out by not playing, obviously you probably would have kept it, but that money can go somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And he did do some good things over the break that he was gone. He bought George Floyd's family a house.
Yeah,
he was able to do some really good deed that he did. Obviously, great dude, but like you can multitask, right? So that's what he's kind of working on, I guess.
Yeah, it's been rough. But
all right. Next, let's get into the waiving
of Kevin Porter Jr. Yeah. This was a crazy incident. You saw the same thing with J.R. Smith, except he didn't get waived.
Yeah.
A lot of food in the locker room. He got really mad that Taurean Prince took his locker, and he got really mad, and it's just not something you're supposed to do.
In his defense, though, like, they just gave away his locker to a new guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how that organization's, like, run. I don't know if it's run well, but, probably like, coaching-wise, like, I don't know if you give a guy's locker to another dude. You know what I mean? Like, especially right when they got there. That just didn't make sense to me.
But as a professional, you
obviously
gotta look
you
at
can't act like that, right?
Yeah.
But in that, like, why would you do that in the first place? Like, give the locker away. Yeah. There's wrongs on both sides, obviously, and hopefully he'll find a place. Very talented young player.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully he'll be able to get out of there and really make an impact on another team. So, and develop and really become a great scorer. So.
Yeah. He has that potential.
For sure.
Yeah.
So next, we're going to get into our next section. We're going to be talking about football.
Yep.
Let's dive into divisional round.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the Packers and the Rams. The Packers ended up winning the game 32-18. Aaron Rodgers threw for over 300 yards and burnt the Rams defense. Number 1 ranked pass defense.
This is something that was expected, right? Aaron Rodgers is just unbelievable. Having like a crazy season after they drafted that quarterback behind him for some reason. I guess it worked out because after that he played in front. Yeah. But he's just been ridiculous, and even a number 1 defense can't slow him down like that, especially with Aaron Donald's injury that he had. He's fighting through that, and Jalen Ramsey was actually not able to stop Davante Adams, which was kind of a surprise to me, because Jalen Ramsey's been very good.
Jalen Ramsey actually did play really good defense. The one play that a lot of people saw and misunderstood actually was it wasn't a man play. It was a zone play, so it was a slant that Davante Adams was running, and Jalen Ramsey was in his zone on the outside, just in case it was an out route, something in the flat, something like that. Ramsey ended up playing a good game. Obviously, there were some miscues you would see on the first drive that they scored a touchdown, the Packers. Ramsey was running across to follow Davante Adams, and then somebody else was supposed to take the other side, but he ended up having to run back because they didn't communicate, right? So that's all communication. Ramsey did play a good game, but Jair Alexander, we got to talk about Jair Alexander. He is definitely one of the top 3, if not top 5 cornerbacks in our game. Because the ability to lock down with a hurt hand is unmatched. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. When he was covering, he allowed 1 reception for -3 yards. 1 reception for -3 yards.
That's with the hurt hand, too.
With the hurt hand. So, I mean, he's going to get paid this year. He'll get extended, but damn, is this guy good. Yeah. He is a good
You got Stephon Gilmore, you got Jalen Ramsey, you got Jair Alexander.
Yeah, he's up there, man. He's in that top tier for sure.
Exactly.
But anyway, so this Packers team, it will come against Tampa Bay, who just recently beat the Saints 30-20 on Sunday Night Football.
With Drew Brees' last game.
Which
we'll talk about later, like everything we said.
Interesting. The Tampa Bay defense is lethal. You have Vernon Hargreaves back there.
Yeah.
You have Carlton Davis. Your secondary is amazing. You got the safety rookie in the backfield, Antonio Winfield Jr., 2 linebackers, Levante David, Devin White. You have your edge rushers and Shaquille Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul out there.
Yeah.
That's a nasty defense. And now you have Vita Vea coming back to pressure the run.
And that's
so this will be interesting.
Hopefully shut down the Packers. We don't want to see them.
We don't want to see the Packers.
Because the thing is, if the Packers lose to the Bucs, then the Bears are going to see that the Packers are beatable. Because they beat the Bucs. So if they beat the Bucs, then they have a chance to beat the Packers. Because right now the Packers look undefeatable. Like, they got crushed both games.
Well, what I would say to that is the Bears are out of this already. Like, this isn't even... Next year they're going to be bad. The next year they'll be bad. I mean, it's pretty...
Unless they get Deshaun Watson.
Well, yeah, but that's anyway, so this game will actually be really interesting for a preview for this game. I do have the Packers winning it. I don't think if the Rams defense couldn't stop Aaron Rodgers, I don't think Tampa Bay will be able to.
Yeah.
Obviously, it'll be a fun game, I think. You'll see Tom Brady probably performing at a very high level. We'll see with these injuries that are racking up. You got A.J. Dillon. He's limited with quadriceps in practice. That's big. And then Jamal Williams also was limited. Hopefully they'll end up being okay for this game, though.
Packers are legit.
Mm-hmm. They are. Okay, diving into the AFC, we got the Chiefs versus the Browns. Really interesting game. The Chiefs ended up winning 22-17. They did not cover the spread, which kind of sucks. Yeah. But that's fine. Due to the Patrick Mahomes injury, which we'll get into, concussion, neck injury. It looked like kind of a nasty tackle. He kind of pulled him a little more than he should have, I feel like. Obviously, we'll see how that turns out. Yeah. He was limited in practice. They did list him as full, though, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. They list him at full and limited, so you don't know where he's at right now. Hopefully he plays because he's a big reason why they're such a good team. Yeah. He's arguably going to be one of the greatest players of all time.
Yeah. No, I definitely think he will be, especially with his Super Bowl last year.
Yeah.
And then you're just racking up championships at this point. Yeah. Andy Reid, great coach, obviously. Yeah. But the Browns did play a good game. You had that fumble at the goal line, which I think is a very stupid rule, if I do have to say. It's where you fumble in the end zone and the team gets the ball immediately without having to recover. I think that's a dumb rule. Obviously, the alternative to that is don't fumble the football, so there's that. But that was a big game changer in the game, for sure. I mean, I think that was when things kind of changed for the Chiefs. And you had Chad Henne come in there, and anything is possible. So he kind of pulled that one out.
You'd normally, even though I heard some people saying that the Chiefs were going to blow out the Browns, normally the Chiefs have not blown out teams this year. Even with such a stellar offense, you see every game has been between field goal or two, and they've only blown out the Chargers and the Jets. So you don't really see them blowing out teams, and especially with a good defense and a really great offense, you can see the Browns keeping up, and that's what they did here.
They did, yeah. I mean, it's a very talented team you have in Cleveland, too. A bright future there, obviously. Just need to fix that secondary up. Denzel Ward's good with 2 safeties you got to work on, and obviously your cornerback surrounding slot corner, that's where you need to go. Because defensively, if you're playing against Patrick Mahomes in the AFC and you're playing against Josh Allen, you're going to need to get secondary. Exactly. So there's that. And then obviously the Chiefs will go on to play the Bills. Yeah. So the Bills beat the Ravens last week, 17-3. Or 17-3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 17-3. Josh Allen obviously balled out. We had a Lamar Jackson injury, which probably was a big turn in the game, concussion. Obviously, you hate to see that, but it's just kind of how the game went. It was a defensive game for sure. Josh Allen obviously had a good game. Stephon Diggs, again, is one of the best receivers in the league. Nothing to say too much about that one, except the Bills are playing the Chiefs in the AFC Championship.
And that's going to be exciting to watch.
If Patrick Mahomes plays, I have the Chiefs. If Patrick Mahomes does not play, I have the Bills.
Which is kind of an obvious.
Which, a lot of people would take those odds. So, all right, next let's dive into Philip Rivers and Drew Brees.
So, 2 very sad retirements. We have 2 great quarterbacks, arguably one of the greatest of all time in their position. You got Drew Brees and you got Philip Rivers.
Both taken in... Oh, no, they weren't both taken. Philip Rivers was taken in the same draft as Eli Manning, and that's why I was tweeting about it.
Yeah.
But, so 2 really good quarterbacks, obviously. Sad to see him go. Rivers is going to head down to Alabama and coach a high school team.
Which is going to be pretty cool to see.
He'll have fun doing that. Yeah. And I'm guessing he wanted to do that. His kids are there. No, he's got 7 of them. So he'll have fun down there.
Still crazy.
Drew Brees obviously didn't want to go out on that note, throwing 3 interceptions. Not his best game, obviously, but I think he kind of realizes it's time, and the Saints are off. You're going to have to find a new quarterback there. Yeah. But he'll go to NBC or one of these broadcast teams and make multiple millions of dollars still. So he'll be good.
I mean, it's Drew Brees.
No, I mean, great quarterback. It was fun watching him growing up. Really fun. I remember Madden, he was on there. So that was my first Madden I ever played. So I always loved Drew Brees.
And now some discussions about is Phillip Rivers and Drew Brees Hall of Famer. Is that even a question?
No, both should be in there for sure, hands down. Yeah. So Brees, obviously one-time Super Bowl champion. He was number 1 in passing yards, and he finished number 2 in passing touchdowns. Tom Brady will take that over within the next season, though.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but obviously both should be in the Hall of Fame, and we wish both of them the best in retirement.
And Phillip Rivers is great even without a Super Bowl, because you see some of the great players in the NBA too, like Allen Iverson, John Stockton. They're still known as incredible. So you got to give credit where credit is due. He's a great player.
He is a great player. Yeah. And just a fun dude, man. He was he's always a competitor.
Trash talking
was great.
Telling them that they were wrong. That was awesome.
All the things you see, but both great quarterbacks, and we wish them the best in retirement.
Yeah.
For our final segment, we're going to go over something a little fun. We have the Deshaun Watson news. He hates it in Houston, apparently.
And he's one of the most patient players I've ever seen. Like, you see James Harden getting mad about his organization, but you see Watson taking his time. You trade your best wide receiver for nothing, and he's at a 2. And you see trades, or not trades, but letting their best defender go, or not their best defender, but one of their best defenders in Jadeveon Clowney walk. And you see different stuff like this, and how is Watson's okay with this? It's just incredible how patient he is, and now you don't give him what he wants in the general manager and organization part, and he's just out of it. I do not blame him at all. And he also stopped a protest under his name, I think.
Oh, yeah. That was because people were going to gather together, kind of protest for him. Obviously, it's smart for him. Good job tweeting that out, telling everybody kind of settle down.
It takes a big man to do that.
Yeah. But it's a smart thing to do, right? Yeah. For the Jadeveon Clowney situation, I don't think they should have re-signed him. Obviously, he hasn't played well since. Yeah. And the GM situation, obviously, he's your star quarterback, right? You're not going to ask him, hey, he's not going to have the final say in who they hire.
I know, he knows that.
Yeah, but whoever owns the team will say that. What happened in the situation was they asked him, hey, who should we look at? And he gave some names, including Louis Riddick. And Eric Bieniemy, he's the Chiefs' offensive coordinator. He wanted him as a head coach, who they haven't hired yet, give or take.
But nobody wants to be there.
Yeah, nobody wants to be there. But anyway, so you ask him who he wants, and then you don't interview any of them. That's where he got mad, because obviously he didn't expect them to hire who he wanted.
Yeah, he even said that.
Yeah, he didn't expect them to hire who he wanted. That's what we got from Ian Rappaport, right? Yeah. So, but. I mean, not to even interview them just really would have irked me.
That's kind of just taunting them at this point. Here, I want these players. Let's just not interview them at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it would have made me mad, too, if I was in that situation. Obviously, when it comes down to it, though, it is the owner's decision. So, we'll see how it goes. Yeah. Hopefully, the GM will be able to kind of fix that relationship with Watson, because he never hated Nick, right? He actually liked him, but he did prefer other guys, and he did want them to interview other guys. Yeah. So it was never a direct hate, really, or a hate towards the current GM that they hired, but it was more of, hey, this is my opinion, and you guys didn't respect it, right? So getting into that, we're gonna decide, or we're gonna pick where we think he's going. Coda. Back to the video.
Yep.
We're back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a little issue, but that's okay. Yeah. Anyway, so we're going to finish with the Watson. Where do we think he's going, right? I say he'll end up in San Francisco. Why? Very competitive team, right? Yeah. I think you don't have a younger quarterback to build around. You got Jimmy Garoppolo. We'll see how that kind of pans out, right? I do think Kyle Shanahan would do wonders with Deshaun Watson. If Deshaun Watson goes there, they'll be as competitive as the Chiefs.
Kyle Shanahan is arguably one of the best coaches in the league, and San Francisco's been successful even without exactly.
So you have Nick Bosa over there. You got all these young players, defensive tackles. The guy they took this year, Kinlaw. Yeah. Your corners. Hopefully they re-sign Richard Sherman, or if not, take one in the draft, right? But you got so many pieces over there. I mean, you got your speedy running backs, your receivers that you've taken over the years, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, obviously. Your line is great. You traded for Trent Williams. Yeah. This is a great team, and if they're able to put Deshaun Watson in the mix, they're a Super Bowl contender from day one. So I really think it would be fun to see him there.
They're a Super Bowl contender even without Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Deshaun Watson is just icing on the cake.
Yeah.
But I would say that realistically, Miami
Yeah.
is the best situation for it. Not best situation. San Francisco's a better situation. Miami's a more realistic trade spot. I'd love to see him go to the Bears, but we have nothing to give.
Yeah.
But Miami has so many first-round picks to give. They have, I think, three from this year.
Yeah, they got the 1st, the 18th, and the 25th. Yeah. So, I mean, if you just package those 3 and throw 2 in there, you're literally, I mean, that's like technically 3 firsts, and I would count 2 as a second at this point. But that's already a better package than most people could offer. Yeah. You have a future star quarterback. I mean, future's looking bright, obviously. Exactly. And then you have 3 firsts.
And you have a great defense.
And it doesn't, I mean, I don't
it's like there's nothing wrong with that team other than maybe not as good wide receivers as, like, the 49ers or the Bears.
Yeah, but the thing with Miami is, like, if you get rid of those, and I agree with you, I just wanted to bring something else up, but the 3 first-round picks, if you give up this year, you're not screwed over for the next 3 years.
Exactly.
Because most teams, if you're going to give away 3 first-round picks, you're messed up this year. Then you got next year, you don't have first. And then the next year, you don't have first. But let's say it doesn't pan out this year and you got a good first next year. Guess what? You still got your first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the 3 firsts this year is a really big deal for them. And making those trades earlier, like for Laramie Tunzel, shipping him out actually to Houston, which is kind of funny. Kenny Stills and the Minka Fitzpatrick trade all kind of come into handy here.
Yeah. Because if you can get Watson out of that, even though they're all great players, it's a deal.
Yeah.
It's great.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's really it.
Yeah, that's all we got for today. Obviously, a lot of information. This one's going to be a little longer. Probably from now on, they'll be a little longer because we'll be throwing in football in there, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for this week. You can expect a video next week.
Yeah.
And make sure to check out the social medias at the Rajpod, Twitter, and Instagram.
That'll be in the description.
Yep, we'll put it down there. Thank you to Kenzie, and thanks, guys.
All right, see you.
We ain't hesitating, bullies get the blazing. I'ma lay them down like